Put your head in the video though. Hello, everyone. We just need a minute to connect with Instagram. All right. Hey, all. I am so excited to be here with Dr. Jake Psenka this morning. First of all, he is a good friend, but also was a mentor, taught me a lot of what I know. And special, I mean, you do a lot, but I know people always have questions about longevity, cancer. I have a lot of men here that show up and say, I want some information about men's health. Mm-hmm. And so let me get a little bit of a, yes, I'm here, we're live, everyone's seeing me. Can I get a confirmation that I am actually showing up? You guys can hear me, and then I'll let you guys start coming on in. Anyone out there? Can you guys hear us, or should we just dance? Because you know, we could just dance if you want.
It's too early for that.
No one's out there. Well, I guess we'll just sit back and have our coffee. So anyway, Hopefully you guys can hear me. That is my hope. Okay, I see some people jumping in on Instagram. Awesome. Cool. Hi, guys. If you guys could give me, thank you so much for saying good morning. Thank you. All right, so you guys can hear us. So anyway, I wanted to start. I was actually having a conversation yesterday. I was interviewing someone about the lymphatic system. And I was remembering back when my mom was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, right? It was determined that it wasn't genetic, right? She spent every weekend with Roundup in her hand. She hated weeds more than anything. And I remember at the time when we went to the oncologist, because they said, well, you probably have 5 years before it starts to grow, whatever. And I said, well, can we push her lymphatic system? Can we work on moving her lymphatics and get this out of there? And I said, oh my gosh, no, we're not moving any lymphatics, because if we move lymphatics, you could spread the cancer. And I remember coming and talking to you and saying, this doesn't make any sense because she has a toxin that's likely causing the situation. So why would we not have her do anything that helps support the natural process of the body? And against probably what the oncologist wanted me to do, I think you were even in on this, we did give her some lymphatic movers. We did all sorts of anti-inflammatories, all sorts of different things. And not only did she make it past the 5 years before it caused a problem, but she made 13 years by bringing down the sympathetic response and focusing on parasympathetic activity, and by moving the lymphatics and keeping yourself active and proper nutrition. And the reason I bring that up is because there's so many people out there, because you guys ask me a lot, like, what do we do for cancer? Do we have to do chemo? Is there anything else we can do? And there's so much knowledge out there that goes against, not really against it, but there's so much integrative knowledge in that window to use. And so I think that would be a great place for people to ask questions about today, right? Because this is your area.
Sure, this is my area. You know, I've been doing integrative oncology for 20-something years. And, I've seen a lot of people in a lot of different conditions, everywhere from people who maybe think they have a family history, looking to do what they can to avoid getting cancer, to people who are actively in cancer treatment and trying to find their best way through that. And then, of course, people who have been through cancer treatment and decided that once was enough and they don't want to get it again. So those folks, we try to help them put together a lifestyle that can inhibit cancer from returning. So lots of experience with all that kind of stuff. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Trisha, you talked about what do you do when you get cancer? Well, the first thing is certainly just prevention, because really we know that most cancers can be prevented. Occasionally, you do run into something with like an environmental toxin of some sort that causes some damage. But, most of the time they can be prevented, and up to 85% of cancers, 85 to 90%, are not due to genetics. They're due to something else that people are doing. Certainly, if you smoke, stop. That's a pretty easy one. But even just the importance of exercise and eating correctly cannot be understated, because they make a huge difference for people when they're trying to prevent this disease.
Yeah. And it is interesting because the rates of cancer are skyrocketing. And people are like, well, it's getting diagnosed faster. I mean, yeah, I suppose, but I mean, there's just so many more toxins in our environment and stress, and the body's not being supported in a way that it can heal. I mean, I talk about that all the time. If you're running from a bear, you're not working on your immune system, right? You're running from a bear. And so the immune system misses things.
Well, I think that it just becomes overburdened, and it's looking in different directions. People, they're running from the bear, so to speak. You know, their levels of inflammation in their body get so high that their body just can't work correctly. And, you know, when you're in a sympathetic state for a long period of time, your cortisol, your stress hormones are high, your immune system just becomes a little less functional, and it's not as vigilant in protecting you from those things that might cause cancer.
Yeah. So. What do you guys think of this? Is this a good topic for today? Can I get some feedback? My new platform doesn't let me see hearts anymore. I want you to know that makes me very sad, because I actually love it when I see all the Instagram hearts going and I can't see them. So you're going to have to write a comment. I'm also wide open for questions on this. Okay. So if you guys want to talk about this, you have questions for Dr. Psenka, for me, we are live for those questions, but you have to ask them in the chat so that we can answer them. Great topic. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think I worry about this. Well, I don't worry about it anymore, to be honest.
That's good.
I think about this just because, you know, my dad had cardiovascular disease, likely the MTHFR mutation. My mom had a toxin-related cancer. You know, I grew up in the same environments they were in, right? And so I do worry about that. But then at the same time, you can't control everything. Have you guys, maybe you've heard of this, have you guys read The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins? Anyone?
Not me.
You haven't?
Nope.
Dude, I'm going to get it for you.
By who?
By Mel Robbins. I'm going to get it for you.
Right, cool.
I'm going to get it. Your birthday's coming up. Now you know what you're getting. But it's talking, I can. But it's talking about letting go, or letting people kind of do what they do so that you can focus on what you can do, because all you can do is what you can do. You can't control what anyone else is doing, right? But we freak out over what everyone else is doing all the time. And we bring those stress hormones in, and we complain and we whine, and so-and-so's doing this or that. Like she was giving a story on, like, she's on a plane and the guy next to her is coughing, you know, uncontrollably and not even covering her mouth, you know, and she could get all worked up about it. You know, or she could kindly ask him to stop, but he may not. But getting all worked up about it just ruins her day. And then she tells the story later, which ruins someone else's day. And it, you know, just keeps these stress hormones going.
Sure.
And so by just saying, well, all I can really do is put my headphones in and maybe cover my mouth with a scarf and go about my business. I can't really change this dude, right? And there's a lot with that. And the reason I bring that up with you is that's our immune system, right? If our immune system isn't calm, if it's not in a calm state, like in a parasympathetic, if our body isn't in a parasympathetic state, the immune system isn't going to catch a lot of the things it needs to catch either, right?
Well, I think the problem is more of a body when it's in a sympathetic state, or it's kind of in a fight or flight state for a long period of time. We're certainly made as humans to handle shortened bursts of a sympathetic response. The fight or flight. I mean, we wouldn't have gotten to this point without it. But to have a prolonged, constant fight or flight response going on inside your body is a huge problem. And I think that as humans, we actually are sort of genetically or evolutionarily predetermined to have this sort of ability to stay stressed out for a long period of time, because you know, we got to the top of the food chain because we outthought everything else, not because we swam or flew or anything else. And we have this thumb, right? We can hold a tool and then we can figure out how to manipulate our environment to our advantage. And over a few million years, the human brain has evolved into something that's constantly looking for problems, either in the future, trying to anticipate, or in the past that weren't resolved. Like Trisha, that one time you did that one thing, remember? And so you know, what's really good for people is to try to stay present. So in the person you were talking about on the plane, well, she's worried that somebody's coughing, that she might get sick, but she's actually not sick. So she's worrying about something that she can't predict. So I think it's really important for a lot of people when they're trying to decrease their stress levels and decrease their sympathetic nervous system response, to just find some kind of reminder in your environment that reminds you to ask yourself if you're staying present. It can be a picture, it could be a wedding ring that you play with, it could be every time you get up to get a glass of water, whatever.
You had a cool example in another interview with you where you said every time you start your car.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I say breathe at every stoplight. At every stoplight, take deep breaths and say a gratitude statement. What are you grateful for? I mean, how many times are you stuck at a stoplight? You get a lot of
Too
breath
often.
in there.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you guys have any questions? I see comments about the topic being great, reading it now. I don't see a lot on Facebook or YouTube. Are you guys out there? Yoo-hoo. Yo, we there? If you guys have some questions for myself or for Dr. J, guess what? This is a live Q&A, which means you get to ask them. I mean, I can interview them all day. If you guys are loving the interview, hi, Missy. If you guys are loving the interview, then we'll just keep interviewing. But if you guys have questions, I want you to start throwing them in, okay? Deal? Sounds good. Sounds good. Sound good. Oh, good. Here's some. Maria, love hearing this info. Taking care of our body, cells, immune system does, in my opinion, prevent so much disease despite genetics. I agree. You agree?
I do.
I think the bad habits families share does more harm than genetics. We do have a lot of control over what happens with our health. Maria, we have full control over really what happens with our health. I think that even if something does come along, let's say you do have a cancer, you do have an autoimmune disease, something that triggers, there is still a lot that you still have. And the way that you frame the way the body is communicating with you matters, right? If you have, I don't know, a sore shoulder, your body's saying, hey, listen to me. And so often we suppress it. We say, nope, I have a sore shoulder. I got to keep moving on. I can't stop. I'm going to suppress it. That's what I'm going to do. And really the body's like, no, listen, and it hits you and makes it worse and makes it worse. And then it spreads and then it moves on. Our heads are connected with our bodies, and to be grateful for symptoms that you have because the body's calling your attention to it by just reframing those small little things and saying, thank you, body, for telling me that I'm injured. I'm going to do everything I can to support you and nurture you. And also the little things, like I'm grateful every day, Jake, that I wake up. My family, I mean, like I say, my dad went downstairs, opened the fridge to get breakfast, fell to the floor with a stroke, and he never was alive again. He woke up that day not knowing it was his last day. We never really know. So if you wake up, that's great.
It is, yeah.
Start there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think to Maria, her statement about, the things that run in families, it's a learned behavior. Kids eat the way that they were fed by their parents generally when they were younger. And, I meet a lot of people who come into the office and they are maybe talking about their high blood sugar, and we're saying, you're pre-diabetic at this point. Maybe you need to fix your diet. And here's a couple other things. And they say, well, diabetes runs in my family. Oh, really? Well, who? Well, they tell me several relatives all have diabetes and they all eat a terrible diet and they don't drink any water and they don't exercise, probably because somebody never told them that that's what they needed to do to kind of prevent diabetes. And so then all these people eat the same things every day. They share those with their kids, and then the kids are pre-diabetic. So you're absolutely right. And it really goes back to setting an example for people as well as education, because unfortunately in healthcare right now, there's just not a lot of education. It's, hey, you got a problem, there's your pill. So
yeah. And also there is a difference between diabetes type 1, the autoimmune disorder, versus type 2. And I think when we say, oh, it runs in my family, that's kind of, our brain kind of goes to the autoimmune version, like, you know what I mean? Where the type of diabetes that's really overtaking our society right now is lifestyle related, mostly lifestyle related, inflammatory related, and the rates of Alzheimer's, dementia, which are basically the same thing. It moves right into it with those inflammation, the blood sugar dysregulation.
Sure. Some people call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's an important thing to realize that in every moment we make a choice. We have a choice. I have a choice whether I was going to have a latte today. Now I chose to do it with homemade cashew milk. So
and the sweet and low.
No sweet and low. Lord. But Jake probably made the wiser choice of choosing an Americano, but I don't know. But we make a choice. Are we going to have water? Are we going to have coffee? Are we going to have fast food for lunch? Are we going to make our lunch? We make choices every single day.
Are we going to have a good day or are we going to have a bad day?
That's one of the best choices to make right there, right?
Indeed.
Is it going to be a good day? Are we just going to be like, you know what? So what? They're having a bad day. That doesn't make my day bad. Right. And learning how to block that out. And those are some habits that you can do with every single choice. Just make a new choice. And if you screw up, we're human. It's okay. next choice comes along right away, pretty quick, right? We have a question over here, I think on Instagram. They found cholesterol in my legs, but I don't have cholesterol issues. Can it be a lymphatic issue?
Do you want me to take that one?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, finding cholesterol in your legs would most likely be that they found some sort of atherosclerotic plaque inside of your arteries in your legs, which is a deposition of cholesterol into the walls of the artery that makes them thicker so that the diameter of your vessels gets smaller. You don't necessarily have to have high cholesterol for that to happen. There are certain conditions that people can have that can predispose them to getting that. But sometimes it's a combination between even moderately high or low cholesterol and excessive amounts of sugar that create this thing called an oxidized LDL molecule. And that sort of sets off the whole process of laying down that cholesterol deposit inside your arteries. So probably not a lymphatic issue. You know, most of the cholesterol and fats in the blood are transported in the blood and not the lymphatics. But I would definitely start looking into like high blood sugar, as well as, you know, if you're eating too many non-plant-based, saturated, trans fat, seed oils, all that kind of stuff, now would be a good time to stop.
And inflammatory markers matter, right? Sometimes you can have a normal cholesterol level, but if the vessels, the walls of the vessels are inflamed or the body is inflamed, like I said, from the sugar, from the, you know, you're looking at an inflammatory level. I don't think supporting lymphatics is ever a bad thing in general.
No.
You know, just because it helps move things through. But yeah, if you have any more further information on that, pop it down. Like if he's wrong, like if he's like, no, it wasn't plaque we're talking about, then let him know. But I'm on the same page there too. And it's about looking at more than just the cholesterol number. It's about looking at the function of the body, the inflammatory levels, the diet, the water. Are you getting enough water? I don't know how many times I see people that are dehydrated, and by simply just increasing their water, it completely changes their health, right? Depression,
mood, joint pain, all that kind of stuff can be affected just with water. You're sure. And interesting about the lymphatic system, it's not like the arterial system, right? The oxygenated blood that is pumped around the body by the heart, or the venous system, which kind of picks up the tail end of the arterial system and still is hooked to a pump. There is no pump for the lymphatic system. Moving your lymph is completely dependent on muscular contraction. So if you don't flex a muscle or move, your lymph has a hard time moving around your body. And then, your lymph eventually dumps into your blood system and then gets filtered by the kidney and the liver and whatnot to have those toxins excreted. So, one of the best things that everybody can do is to exercise. Humans have long arms and long legs, not to reach the remote control, but to move. And, when we talk about cancer, particularly like preventing a recurrence of cancer, people with a history of colorectal cancer can have up to a 45% reduction in recurrence of their disease with just exercise. And the literature that looked at this found that 21 minutes a day was how much exercise, and walking 21 minutes a day was all that was necessary. Yet only 8% of people that have a history of cancer get that much exercise.
We were built to move.
Absolutely.
We were built to lift. We were built to built to be active. So when we're not active, our bodies are in a stress state. They're not doing what they were built to do. And so many people ask me, or they say, I just have a hard time getting moved. I need to go to the gym, but I'm busy, but I've got this or that. And the thing is we can move even at a desk. You can stand up and sit down, just like you can breathe at a stoplight. You can get up every hour and run circles around your desk. You can always do it, right?
Yeah.
So whom is my guest? Whom are you?
My name is Jake Psenka, and I'm a naturopathic doctor specializing in integrative oncology, men's health. I do some allergy work and immunotherapy as well. I've been practicing for about 25 years now, 24 years. Wow, that's a long time. I have lots of information that I've gained over the years, and I'm happy to be here with Trisha and to give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you might have.
Yeah, we have one about wisdom teeth. Oh, my son just had his wisdom teeth. Did Rocco get his, or it got canceled?
No, it got pushed back. His doctor had something else to do that day. Some emergency.
That's fun. Okay, well, we have a question about that. Let's see. My 19-year-old son needs 4 wisdom teeth removed. How did you Oh, how did it go with my son? Anesthesia, supplements before and after removal. Yeah, I did a post on this, right? Because I was leaving and they were like, well, here's your opioid, here's your anti-inflammatory, here's your antibiotic, and here's your steroid, to a 16-year-old boy. And I looked at the doctor, who was awesome, by the way. I do have to give credit to the doctor because he was like, yes, I get where you're coming from. Like, don't stress it. It's just the protocol. Like, take it or leave it. You do what you do. What I did personally, and then I'd love to hear what you plan to do with Rocco, is I used oil of oregano 3 times a day in place of the antibiotic. I didn't really feel like he needed an antibiotic. It was kind of more preventative the first couple of days, just to be sure. My doctor actually did PRP in the sockets. So they withdrew his blood, they spun down the platelets, and they put it in the sockets, which helps heal it up a lot faster. We used the ibuprofen, which I think was 400 milligrams for the first day or two, every 6 hours. There's a lot of research on pineapple juice. Have you heard that?
I'm not aware.
Okay, so with the bromelain, the bromelain in pineapple juice helping with the pain from wisdom teeth. So you could also do a bromelain capsule. We didn't end up doing the steroid or the opioid because they're young, man. They recover faster than you can believe. What you're looking for, you're looking for fever. You're looking for like a lot of redness. Keep it clean. Don't eat sharp foods and just trust and watch, right? That was what we did. What do you plan to do? Are you going to walk away with all that stuff in your pocket? Well, you had Ilya too.
Yeah, with our daughter, we pretty much the same thing. We didn't use the PRP, but didn't take the antibiotic. I don't believe we did that. I think we just watched her closely, gave her some ibuprofen. She wasn't even into taking an opiate, right? I think giving opiates to kids is, if that's the protocol needs to change.
Yeah, it's ridiculous because they don't need it. They really don't. I mean, ice on the cheeks and the anesthesia, to be honest, scared the living daylights out of me. I was like, oh my God, don't knock my baby out. But he was fine. And he was kind of funny when I got him out. Like he was, it was comical.
We did promise Rocco we wouldn't videotape him doing anything. So,
I did videotape Cameron a little bit, but he wasn't as funny. He wasn't funny enough to like post the video. Like he was kind of he held himself together pretty well. Like I was pretty proud of him, but I don't know if that helps. If you have any more questions, you just follow up. How do you spell your last name? This is always a no-brainer. This is always a big one for people, right?
Yes. It's P as in Paul, S as in Sam, Enka.
And I will tag him in this post when it goes live so that you guys can follow him and check him out. Even though you don't spend much time on social media, they'll find you, right? And it's drpsenka.com, right?
You can find me there. Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Cool. There was another question. Oh, did you find that in a plaque test? So we have going back to the legs with the cholesterol. She's asking what kind of test was done. If you want to come back and answer that, we'll keep that going. You're welcome. Hello to everyone that just joined. This is Dr. Jake Psenka, my good friend, and amazing wealth of knowledge. Thank you for the wisdom teeth help. Do we need to worry about cavitation? As far as when they're pulling them out for being impacted? Is that what she's talking about?
I don't know. I'm not a dentist. I don't know anything about it. I just brush and floss regularly.
I mean, it's about keeping it clean. I mean, anytime you have any surgery done, it's about keeping it clean. The PRP I know can help with the dry socket, but if they're not doing that, you just have to be careful that stuff doesn't get stuck in there. I mean, it's honestly very straightforward. By the way, I do have someone you can follow for this. Her name is Toni Ingram, ToniEngram. She is a holistic dentist. She's amazing. She's also hilarious and very fun to follow on Instagram, which are always my favorite people, is when they have a little personality. And I have no doubt that she probably has some resources on her website or in her social media more about that. I actually personally called her and said, am I doing this right? And she said, you're doing it right.
That's good.
I said, okay. But he's right. I'm not a dentist either. Hi to everyone that just joined. Is there anyone over on Facebook and YouTube? What's going on? Are we not streaming? Where are you guys? I miss you. I miss you. In the meantime, while we're waiting for the next question, wanted to give you guys an announcement. I launched a new YouTube channel. It's called What Am I Modeling? It will be on my new website, which will hopefully be kicking off this week or next week, where I am doing a ton of interviews, and we're interviewing people with personal stories of overcoming things. And it's an inspirational and motivational channel. And it is 100% my passion. and my mission. And so I invite all of you to come along with me, give me comments over there. You can watch them on YouTube, and any of the new content coming out towards my mission. Would love to have you guys come along with me. I'm really enjoying what I'm creating right now. So, and you guys have been with me this whole time. So you're on this journey with me. So thank you. I'll check it out. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. You guys are quiet. Well, what should we talk about? We got a couple more minutes, and then he goes up north to go fishing, and his wife doesn't see him for 3 days, right? As you're off fishing. So
she enjoys the respite. So it'll be good. Well, you know, I just, how about I just throw a couple things out there that I think are cool that I've come across recently. You know, mushrooms are a big thing in the cancer world. You know, there's a lot of extracts that come out of mushrooms, things like beta glucans that have anti-cancer activity. They can synergize with chemotherapy. They can keep the immune system strong. But one of the things that I found was really interesting is a study was done recently that looked at what regular mushroom consumption will do for preventing cancer. And they found that people that eat 1/8 to 1/4 cup of mushrooms per day can have up to a 53% reduction in cancer over their lifetime, which is incredible. 53% just from eating mushrooms. And the fact that you know, they're a great source of protein, and they can keep your immune system strong. They also have the ability to literally make you smarter. They can increase neuroplasticity in your brain to literally make you smarter, which is pretty cool. So
I love neuroplasticity.
I do too.
I'm all over that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question on that then. So I have a mushroom powder that I put often into my coffee, or sometimes I make a latte just with the mushroom powder. Because you were saying you eat 1/8 of a cup to a 1/4 cup of mushrooms. In the absence of having the actual mushrooms, does that hold true with extracts and powders and things?
I can't speak to that because you know, the research didn't look at powders, but I'm sure you get some of the benefit. But I think I'd see you get some benefit, but I don't know if it's exactly the same. I don't know.
I know I had a 10 mushroom blend I was taking for a very long time. That was in a, you know, in a capsule, because the research is amazing, but we can't always find lion's mane mushrooms, right?
Right.
So, you know, I guess some is better than none.
Yeah, it doesn't even need to be lion's mane. I think just any regular mushroom will work to that degree. So that's
okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I eat mushrooms all the time. I love mushrooms.
Yeah, they're good.
My kids do not love mushrooms. I have to sneak it. Do you need to cook the mushrooms, Dr. Jake?
You don't. No. You can eat them raw if you like. I wouldn't get canned mushrooms or like jarred preserved mushrooms and think you're going to get the same effect. But you know, you don't need to be cooked. They can be raw. They can be cooked, however you like to do it. Somebody mentioned to me yesterday in the office that they didn't like mushrooms because when they boiled them, they got rubbery. And I've never heard anybody boiling mushrooms before. So maybe not.
I saute them. I haven't air fried them yet, but that would be interesting. I saute them. I roast them. I saute them mostly, I would say.
Yeah, me too. For sure. But what's interesting about them too is, you know, mushrooms generally grow in the shade. So if you buy a fresh mushroom and you put it out in ultraviolet light, like in sunlight for 10 or 15 minutes, that mushroom will start synthesizing vitamin D. And then when you bring it in, wash it, cook it, you can get a lot of vitamin D into your system that way. I know a lot of people are low in vitamin D these days, which can be a risk factor for lots of health problems, from depression to cancer, and even blood sugar, autoimmune. Everyone needs a little bit extra ways to get a vitamin D. And people say, well, you know, I'm outside a lot. I get it through the sun. Yeah, but I have patients that are mail carriers in Arizona. They deliver the mail and their skin looks like saddle leather. They're really, really, really tan, but their vitamin D is low. And so don't think that just because you're in the sun a little bit, you're going to have an adequate amount, because you might not. I think it's a very important thing to check on a yearly basis.
Absolutely. Sure. And I think people, the pathway of vitamin D going from D1 to D2 to D3 and having the sun just be D1 to D2, right? So it still has to become activated in D3. So that's why a lot of the time these people with saddle leather, it's not moving down to D3. And so that's really important. The sun assists the conversion, as opposed to give you actual vitamin D per se. And I think a lot of people maybe don't understand that pathway so much and the importance of that. But go ahead, talk about that. Vitamin D3, screening it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple blood test you can add into your annual labs or your semi-annual labs, whatever you do, just to make sure that your levels are where they should be. A lot of people, if they don't take a vitamin D, the normal range is anywhere from 20 to 100 nanograms per deciliter in your blood. But you'll find people at like 15, 21. These levels are way too low. Just because the reference range starts at greater than 20 and you're at 20.1 does not mean you're okay. You want to be somewhere in the middle of the reference range, depending on who you are and what you have going on. But vitamin D is super important. And most recently, I've read about people that have a hard time converting D2 to D3 due to other inflammatory conditions in their body. So,
that's what I was going to ask you is, I've done the screening often where I look at D2 and D3 and their D2 is high, but their D3 is low, right? And often when I see that, I look to the microbiome and I say something's either that or stress. Why do you think vitamin D levels, D3 levels are decreasing so rapidly? Because I don't think this was a problem.
But we're using it more. I think the body's probably using it more, quite frankly.
From
compensation for environmental or stress factors, for sure.
How do you optimize conversion? It's about reducing the other things in the body, right? Reducing inflammation, proper blood sugar, less stress on the body, healthy microbiome.
And I think a really healthy diet. Like, you have to remember that there's 2,000 or 2 million chemical reactions that happen in a human body per second, right? There's 35 trillion cells. And the body is full of all these reactions where A has to turn into B, and A can't go to B unless you have the cofactors on board. And those cofactors are usually minerals, antioxidants, some sort of nutrient that our body is supposed to have. And if we don't have a good basic nutrition in our system and we're not getting in these nutrients, then it becomes harder for us not to only convert D2 to D3, but any of these other reactions in our body that are so important, particularly I think with like the detoxification reactions. Because if we don't have the right factors in our body to make those reactions go, your body's like, I don't know what to do with that toxin. I'm just going to stick it in the fat tissue over here and it's going to fester away for a couple of decades. And then finally it's going to get to a point where it causes somebody a problem. So I think for optimizing conversion of any reaction in the body, it really boils down to nutrition. And nutrition's a tough subject, I think, because a lot of people are so stressed for time. They don't have enough to eat or enough time to prepare foods. And that's where, a really good supplementation can come in to kind of make up for those times when maybe you're not getting all the healthy foods that you need.
Well, and to expand on that, I know I talk a lot here about when we're in that fight or flight, we're running from the bear all the time. Some of the first things we run through are B vitamins, minerals, like those are gone right out the door. Magnesium, selenium, zinc, B vitamins that are all helping to convert food into energy, right? They're all part of the mitochondrial health. They're all antioxidants. They're helping with detoxification pathways. So we're burning through those. Even if you are eating well, sometimes one, we're under so much stress that we're not getting enough to compensate for that. And number two, when you're running from the bear, you don't digest your food and break it down into energy well. So we have all these problems, and we can run into that with supplementation as well, right? People can take handfuls of pills, but if their body is not in a rest state, they're not going to absorb it as well. So I think taking the nutrition, number one, by also looking at the mindset aspect of stress, putting yourself into a calm state, breathing, some of the things we talked about earlier, giving gratitude when you eat, sitting down and actually eating a meal, not shoving it in your face, making time to eat, making time to be quiet, have moments of quiet and be in the now will also help you get better benefit out of the nutrition you put in, as well as the supplements that you put in, which is then going to help even more, right?
Yep.
In regards, my dog is snoring. Hello, Piggy.
And farting.
And farting. You're sitting next to her, not me.
That's great.
Let's see, we have a question. We have a few more minutes, guys. So if you're like dying to ask a question, this would be the time. Start typing it up because we're going to sign off here shortly. In regards to supplements, what would you recommend daily intake? Ooh, that's a tough one because it's so individualized, right?
It depends on the person for sure. But I think there are certain things that everybody needs. I think everybody needs omega-3 fatty acids. I think that's really imperative for us. And, I think that from an evolutionary standpoint, people are supposed to have a 1-to-1 ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids. But on what I've seen mostly is that people have one omega-3 for like 15 omega-6s in their diet. And the omega-6s are precursors to inflammation. And so if you don't balance those out correctly, you're going to end up again predisposed to inflammation. But I think those omega-3s are really important. I think,
and you can get those in food as well, right? Like walnut seeds, salmon, certainly, those types of things.
Freshly ground flax seeds are amazing. They have a lot of protection against breast cancer, colorectal cancer. They're a great source of fiber, protein. They're great. They're like my number one thing for someone if they're constipated, to get those freshly ground flax seeds in. It works great. But then the minerals, minerals are super important. Like magnesium is so important for all these conversion reactions we're talking about, yet it's the second most common deficiency in the United States. So, I like to use cacao for magnesium. It's full of magnesium and antioxidants, and it tastes like chocolate. So.
And you were asking, is there one supplement that would have everything? Never. There's never just one supplement that's going to have everything, because you got to shove it into a capsule, unless you want the capsule to be this big, right? But you were talking about a mineral. For those of you that are looking, you can go to my website to get there, or you can go straight to totalhealthapothecary.com. I have my Total Mineral, which is a great foundational. I have a magnesium powder, the Total Magnesium. I have other magnesiums on there as well that are approved by me, that are capsules, powders, whatnot. That's a great start. And the Total B complex is a methylated Total B. There are also a bunch of omega-3 on there. So if you type that in and search it, but all of those are brands that have been vetted by me that I approve. So Total Health Apothecary, you can take a look there, just to answer your question, right? It's good. I mean, I think it's good to understand where your body is at and work with a physician that helps you figure out your baseline. Where are you? And then everyone says, what can I take for this? What can I take for that? Well, it depends on why it's happening, right? You could have someone with high blood pressure, and maybe one person, it's because their sympathetic nervous system is on overload. Another person, maybe they have high homocysteine and low B vitamins. Another person, maybe it's in their kidneys. Another person, maybe it's an electrolyte, hydration issue. So you have to look at why it's happening, and then the treatment and what to take becomes very clear, because you know what you're trying to repair. So as opposed to looking at the symptom, look at what is the body trying to tell me? What is the body saying to me and trying to call my attention to? And if you can work with a physician that helps you listen and understand your body's signals, it becomes very easy to figure out what you need to take. And I think you have better compliance, because you know why you're doing it. No one wants to go to the doctor and be like, hey, here's 30 supplements, take care, and not understand why they're doing it. You're not going to get as much compliance on that.
Sure. And with 30 supplements, you're going to do that for a week, and you're going to get tired of it, and done with it. Yeah.
I know people are always like, when should I take my probiotic? Because there's all these different theories, with meals, between meals. And I'm like, well, when are you going to remember?
Yeah. How about just take it?
I just take it when you're going to remember it consistently, and let's start there. And then later we can optimize it even further. Yeah. I had something about best for hand trembling. I might need more information on that as far as why the hand's trembling. I'm not sure. I'll come back to you. Give us more information, William. We'll see if we can answer that question somewhat for you. Which magnesium is Dr. Psenka speaking about? Oh, the cacao one.
Yeah, I was talking about cacao, which is unprocessed natural cocoa from the cocoa plant, right? It's cheap. You can get organic cacao at any health food store. I just add it to a smoothie or even into some coffee, and it's great. I don't think the magnesium stearate that you're talking about is something that you need to worry about, unless you're bathing in it, of course. But a little bit that you might find in a supplement or in a capsule or something like that, a little bit's probably not a big issue. There are multiple types of magnesium, and they all have different kind of things that they can do inside of the body. So I think it's best to have a mix of different magnesiums. So
I like magnesium glycinate. That's my favorite, but I'm in the stress world. Right. So I'm trying to calm the body down, and I like the addition of glycine, and I like the addition of the calming effect of magnesium glycinate. But there's orotate and taurate. I would say no, and I'm sure you would agree, to oxide and sulfate. Just ditch it. Don't bother. Not going to help. The stearate is a great question. And in case people couldn't see it, do we need to worry about the magnesium stearate? That's one of those extra ingredients in supplements. I actually reached out to a couple of the supplement companies when I first graduated and said, why do we put this in there? I don't understand. And number one, it's in very minimal amounts, like hardly any. And I believe it's to help the capsule go down, like it's to smooth it or something so that you can actually swallow it. So you'll find it a lot in tablets, I think. But I agree with Dr. Psenka. Look, if you try to control every little thing in your life, it becomes so over the top. I think in general, we have to look at balance. We have to look at living our lives and trying to do the best that we can. And if we nitpick every single ingredient, it can be hard. But if you can get a lot of them down, what I don't like to see in supplements are soybean oils. I think that's ridiculous. Or little, like all these oils in there that go in there that don't need to be in there. Like a vitamin D capsule that's this big doesn't make any sense to me. Sorry, Costco. But, you know, where they're putting a bunch of junk in it, try to do the best you can to keep it as clean as possible. But I wouldn't stress over the magnesium stearate either.
Yeah.
Best time to take vitamin D when you're going to actually take it.
Yeah. I don't think it really matters. I don't think it's one of those ones that will keep you up at night. The complex might do that to somebody, but just get it in.
And I mean, I know it's a fat, so some people say take it with food. For me, I take my vitamin D at bedtime because I remember to take it at bedtime every single night. So I have it next to my bed. It's a sublingual. It's easy.
Yeah.
I won't remember in the morning because I have kids that, where are my shoes? Hey, did you make me any lunch? What's going on? Like, I don't have time to worry about myself.
Yeah, I keep mine on my desk. I did my labs in January. I do them every year. And the only thing off on there was my vitamin D was low, surprisingly. I guess I wasn't following my own recommendations. So I set a bottle of it on my desk. So I just grab it when I see it during the day and take the pill and call it good.
And that is a great tip. If you're going to a desk every day and you're looking at a computer, put little notes along your computer. Set alarms on your phone to get up and breathe and walk around. You know, have your supplements lined up. It's all about consistency. Health is about consistency. And you don't have to be perfect at it all the time. I'm going to end with this thought that so often they're like, oh yeah, I really want to do that program, or I really want to go to the gym, but I'm going to wait until after Christmas when everything calms down, or after graduation, or I'm just so busy right now, or this or that. Guess what, guys? The stress isn't going anywhere. The external stuff will still be there after Christmas. It's still going to be there. It's just going to be different. So the best thing you can do is take action now, even if it's not perfect. That's okay. One little action at a time starts to add up to long-term health. And that's what's truly important. I see a bunch of people popping some questions, and we are going to pop up. So let's laser round these. What do you say?
Go for it.
All right. What is a good D3 to take? I mean, I kind of like the one with my Total Health Apothecary line, but
I think just something that doesn't have a bunch of fillers. It's just pretty much D3. You know, if you're a woman, you might consider a D3 with a K2. So, you know, if you take excessive amounts of vitamin D3 because it's fat soluble, it can accumulate in your liver. I've never really seen that happen. Maybe one or two people where they were taking way too much and it caused the liver enzymes to elevate. But excessive vitamin D can cause hypercalcemia. You get more calcium in the blood. So you have to ask, where does that calcium come from? And sometimes it comes from the bones. And if you're postmenopausal and have osteoporosis, that's not such a hot thing. So you stick the K2 in and it helps push that calcium back into the bones. So,
yeah. So I have a bunch on my, check out totalhealthapothecary.com. I have a bunch of different ones. I have ones with K2. I have ones that are plain D3. I have them in liquid. I have them in sublingual liquid or in capsules. It's more so just what else is in there, is to his point, something clean. You don't need a bunch of fillers in a vitamin D3 supplement.
Yeah, men can take them too, no problem.
Yes. So. Are the multi-B vitamins good, or should we pick and choose which Bs to use? Is there a multi-magnesium vitamin? Well, any multi, the volume is going to be less, right? So you're going to get less magnesium in a multivitamin than you are in a magnesium supplement, right? It really comes down to what your body needs. I have an article on this. Check it out, drpingle.com, type in magnesium. Actually, my search bar might be, it's being updated. You might have to type into Google, Dr. Pingle magnesium. And B vitamins. I have articles on this to kind of guide you guys in what are the different B vitamins, what are they used for? So that way you can talk to your doctor about which ones might be right for you, right? In general. And
I think people, if you're going to take a methyl, I think a B complex is fine, but take a methylated B complex. There's no reason to use cyano or hydroxycobalamin, which are B12s. And so looking for that's a really smart idea. There are a couple products out there that are magnesium based supplements that have like 2 or 3 different types of magnesium in there. I'm sure Trisha has one on her website. So absolutely. Yeah. And the methylated is so important. Like, figure out what your body needs and then give it the active form so that it doesn't have to work to convert it into a bunch of other things. Right. So, but we do talk about this. I know I have videos on that, by the way, YouTube, on my Instagram feed. You're on Instagram. So Instagram feed, stuff I talk about a lot. So yeah, great questions. Well, we didn't get back to the hand trembling, but you know, once again, got to figure out why it's happening, William. Then it's really easy to figure out what to do from there, right?
Methyl blue.
Methylene blue. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For Candida?
No, methylene blue is kind of a hot topic item these days. There's some really fantastic research for neurological conditions, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, that seems to act as an antioxidant inside of the body when you take it orally in that manner. But some people are using it as a cancer therapy. And in those cases, the methylene blue is exposed to certain wavelengths of light. I think it's like 630 to 690 nanometers, so a red light. And it oxidizes the methylene blue, and then it has sort of a free radical effect on certain types of cancers. I think it's still kind of early in that research, and I've seen it clinically a little bit, but not super helpful. And I don't do it, but I've seen people who've had it done. But I think it's something we're going to see a lot more information about in the future for sure.
Well, Dr. Jake Psenka, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
How can they find you if they just want to learn more from you?
You can find me. You can reach me at drpsenka.com, which is drpsenka.com. Or I also work at the Chambers Clinic, which is CHAMBERS Clinic in Scottsdale, Arizona. And so.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I will make sure that all of your stuff is listed below here so they can find you and follow you. So that means
Great.
you're going to actually start posting things now, right?
Probably not.
Probably not. He's going to go off and go fishing. But I want to thank all of you for showing up today. What do you think? How was this? Did you like it? All of you asked for guests last time I sent out a survey. So what do you think? How do you do? Can we get some yays? Some loved it. Thank you so much. I got to thank you so much there. I am so thrilled that all of you chose to spend your morning with us. And I will let Dr. Psenka get off to go fishing. And I'm going to go enjoy my Friday. But thank you so much to everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Have a great weekend.
See ya.